Why did it stick? Okay, you want to be really impressed? Lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, oxygen, periodic table. I can say the first two lines. I can write them down from memory. Not exactly from memory. I have to go through the little Beryl Brown chews nuts on Friday night and the next line. Now, that's pretty useful. You know, guys, if you're at a party and you can write out the first two lines of the periodic table, all the pretty girls will rush to your side. I spent 4 years of my life studying Latin. 1 lesson a day, 5 days a week for 4 years. 400 hours of my life I spent studying Latin. Do I remember it? Not much. I remember the book. It was a royal blue hardcovered book. It was called The Approach to Latin, and Latin was written in block capital letters. And I got so bored that one day I took the capital L and I added 2 extra bars and I put a G on the end of Latin. So it became The Approach to Eating. And the teachers will vouch for how much I love eating. This will vouch. And then I got bored again. So The Approach to Eating became The Approach to Heating. And finally, a couple of weeks later, the title reached its final resting place, The Approach to Cheating. But do I remember any actual Latin? Surely, after 400 hours of learning Latin, I should be able to say some Latin. And I can. I can tell you every bit of Latin I remember. Do you want to hear it? Caesar had some jam for tea, Pompey had a rat. It sounds like Caesar's getting quite a nice tea, he's getting some jam. Pompey, on the other hand, had to eat a rat. Caesar had some jam for tea, Pompey had a rat. That's all I remember. It means now that Caesar had become strong, Pompey ran away. But think about that. That's pretty scary. 400 hours of my life, and the sum total is Caesar had some jam for tea. That's 400 hours, and I was a good student. So the point I want to make is that I learnt so much useless garbage at school that was of absolutely no use to me. And I really hope that you learnt less useless garbage than I did. I won't pretend that everything that we have tried to teach you over the last 15 years is going to be enormously useful to you, but some of it will be. I don't mind if you forget the periodic table. You can always look it up. You live in a world where looking things up is quite easy. You know, do you realize that the letter I, the little dot on the letter I, that has a name? Do you know what the name is? Yeah? How long would it take you to find out? Yeah, that's the world we live in. But we've tried to teach you some stuff that's really, really, really important. And I hope you remember it. We've tried to teach you how important integrity and humility is. And that is really, really important. Because if you embrace those two things and make them part of your life, you will look at the world differently and the world will look at you differently. Please trust me on that. We hope we've taught you about perseverance and resilience. Because the world that you're going to go into is a wonderful, exciting, beautiful place, but it's going to kick you in the teeth a few times. And you're going to have to get up and dust yourself off and move on. You'll need to persevere if you're going to be successful. And I'm going to tell you something you can do, very practical, not rocket science. It won't guarantee that you'll be successful, but it's something that every successful person does, every day. First thing in the morning, they do 4 things because they accept the inevitability of mornings. Every successful person, every morning, does 4 things. He wakes up, he gets up, he dresses up, and he shows up. You do that every single morning. There is no negotiation. Start at university. Don't miss a day. I never missed a day at school because my mum had a rule. I'll let you stay home from school when I see you bleeding from the eyeballs. That was mum's rule. And it taught me to be resilient. It taught me to persevere. It taught me to wake up, get up, show up, dress up every single day. And that's important. Please remember the important stuff. Don't worry too much about the periodic table. And now all that remains is for me to give you my wishes. You know I'm proud of you, don't you? I've told you that already. I have, I think, 4 wishes for you. I wish you continued good health. I wish you happiness in abundance. I wish you all the success you deserve, no more, no less. And my final wish is that you find love in your lives, because that's important. Thank you very much.
Okay, we will pause one last time for the last few people to find a seat. Each year, the Grade 12 class selects 2 of its members to give the student address. This year, that honour goes to Akash and Ashna, who will address the class of 2017 together.
Good evening. I'm 0035660009.
Hello, I'm 0035660011.
Over 240,000 words of extended essays.
About 765,000 words of eyes.
More than 720 examinations collectively.
My fellow art students have 1 exhibition and about 20,000 words of analysis each.
Around 530 oral presentations.
Definitely 8,850 CAS hours, or so we claim.
Those are the numbers. The numbers that show you the overwhelming amount of work that every single one of us has put in to get to this day.
The final day, graduation. The day that many of us thought would never come.
The day some of us hoped would never come.
The day some of us marked on our calendars 2 years ago on the very first day of IB.
It's hard finding words that encompass the last 2 years of our lives. We've made so many memories that I know we'll all hold dear.
More often than not, when asked about our favorite memories from the last 2 years, we find ourselves laughing through stories full of inside jokes and silly details that always end with, "You had to be there." And to my class, we'll say, "We are glad we were there."
We're glad to have been there for the 3 a.m. Have you started? Good, neither have I. Texts and the Skype sessions before every test, scheming to convince our teachers to make that last summative or formative.
We are glad to have been there, 62 teenagers from a big city trekking through a humid Indonesian jungle. It was when we truly came together as a class.
We are glad to have been there singing Channa at the 4 a.m. dance party at RFL and the countless CAS projects our class successfully managed to put up.
We are glad to have been there for the 2 p.m. PE classes under the blazing sun when 17 out of 20 students searched for shade under trees, tables, and shrubs, as the 3 enthusiastic guys who, let's face it, were probably on one of the sports teams, tried to get everyone to play.
And we were definitely glad to be there when the 4 group chats, 6 different Google Forms, and at least 20 emails helped us successfully plan Prank Day, where we protested the 7:45 rule by arriving exactly 1 minute late.
And yet, some of us still managed to show up late for that. You know who you are. But most of all, we're glad to be here today.
Of course, the IB hasn't always been the fairy tale that we might make it out to be today. There were times when sleeping in and faking that stomachache felt like the easiest way to meet that 8 a.m. Turnitin deadline. even if it meant losing one of our precious 8.8 absence days.
Through this, we've seen ourselves unite as a class over the troubles of IB, the last-minute all-nighters, the incessant need for caffeine, funding the entire Starbucks enterprise, the hours we spent pleading for the 5th calculus retest of the month.
Our academic unity strengthened our friendships we formed, and I can gladly say, and ask our teachers to confirm, that we are one of the closest graduating classes of OIS, although maybe not the most well-behaved.
As we stand in front of you today, we'd like to thank our class for choosing us to give a speech at our graduation, which, by the way, was written yesterday, just like everything else we've done over the last 2 years.
And there are many more people we want to thank for standing here today, people who've supported us throughout these 2 years.
Those who saw the best in us when we were anything but.
Those who told us to keep going even when we had nowhere to go, whether they were teachers, parents, siblings, friends, or just kind strangers.
And so, as we stand here today, I'd like you all to remember exactly why it was we took the IB at OIS.
It definitely wasn't because we didn't qualify for science or commerce.
It definitely wasn't because of the indoor swimming pool and the air-conditioned classrooms.
But really, it was because we wanted to challenge ourselves, because it prepared us for the real world. We took the IB at OIS because it allowed us to be our unique selves.
And lastly, we'd like to remind you that no matter where you end up, whatever hardships you may face, we have all accomplished this one great thing together. And because of it, I believe we will accomplish many more.
OIS class of 2017.
We did it!
Thank you, Akash and Ashna. Please welcome Isha, Sanya, and Annika, all from grade 9, who will perform Don't Dream It's Over.
There is freedom within, there is freedom without. Try to catch a deluge in a paper cup.
There's a battle ahead, many battles are lost, but you never see the end of the road while you're traveling with me.
Hey now,
don't
dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in, they come to build a wall between us, and we know that they won't win. Now I'm towing my car, there's a hole in the roof. My possessions are causing me suspicion, but there's no proof.
In the paper today, tales of war and of waste, but you turn right over to the TV page.
Hey now, don't dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in, they come to build a wall between us, and we know that they won't win. Now I'm walking again to the beat of a drum, and I'm counting the steps to the door of your heart.
Only shadows ahead, barely clearing the roof. Get to know the feel of liberation and relief.
Hey now,
Don't
dream it's over. Hey now, when the world comes in, they come to build a wall between us, and we know that they won't win. And never let them win.
Don't ever let them win.
Never let them win.
Thank you, Isha, Sanya and Annika. Each year, the graduating class also selects one member of the OIS faculty to give an address. This year, that honour goes to Miss Rucha Bayani, who's an English teacher and EE coordinator. Rucha has been at OIS since 2015. Please join me in welcoming Rucha to the stage.
Thank you, Sandy. Good evening, Ms. Khanna, members of the board, educators at OIS, parents, guests, the reason we're all here today, especially the reason why I'm on this podium today, the students of the class of 2017. Congratulations. Let me begin by saying